Hey, welcome back to Carlo Perusa MMA. I'm Carlo Perusa with UFC lightweight Mr. Joe Solecki. Joe, you just finished up doing a jiu-jitsu seminar here, Salt City Combat Club, Columbia, South Carolina. Overall, how do you think it went?
Oh, it was great. It was a great turnout, man. It was awesome to come out here and train with Colin for a couple of years now, and then they've kind of affiliated under me for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So to get out here and see what they're doing is pretty cool, and hope everybody learned something. But I certainly enjoyed myself.
You know, before you found your way into the UFC, into mixed martial arts, you found jiu-jitsu first. Overall, what appealed you and what drew you to something you're very good at and you love?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the pursuit of, you're always learning. It's always evolving. It's always changing. So it never really gets stale. The camaraderie is huge, and I think the mix of people you get to be in here with is really awesome too. Aside from all the great competitive aspects and the way it translates to mixed martial arts and all that, I love all that. But what got me into it was probably the camaraderie, and you just meet some really awesome people. So to see that kind of continuing out here in Columbia with Soda City Combat Club is awesome, and it's what keeps me coming back to this day.
So I've heard in previous interviews that you've mentioned what got you into it at a very young age was the Power Rangers. Is that true? Did you find motivation through the Power Rangers?
Yeah, well, I was 4, so I wanted to do karate, and then my brother was playing baseball. We moved towns, and my parents will say that they just didn't put him at the right position or town politics. I always tell people he just wasn't good at baseball. So they sent him first. It was 1997. So the karate instructor had started training jiu-jitsu, got his blue belt, was teaching jiu-jitsu. So by the time I got there in 99, I was 6, started kindergarten and jiu-jitsu the same week by accident. So yeah, kind of the Power Rangers, and ended up just being, self-defense, discipline, all that. But yeah, kind of a crazy turn of events, and it ended up being the thing I did for, all my life now.
So how did you make that transition from doing mainly just jiu-jitsu to figuring out that, hey, you want to try the mixed martial arts side of things?
Well, back when I started, 99, early 2000s, everybody, there was some competitive jiu-jitsu for sure, but everybody watched the UFC. Like now, it's kind of two separate sports. There's a lot of jiu-jitsu events to watch, and you have people that love jiu-jitsu that don't really care for the UFC, and vice versa. Back then, all of our best jiu-jitsu competitors fought in MMA, so it was kind of a natural progression, so it was kind of always a dream. As far as being a reality, I wasn't very good, so I didn't really think that was, on the horizon. And when I was about, 15, 16, 17, really kept competing hard and traveling a lot, and then started to realize that I actually was pretty good at this. And then, that's when I started thinking about mixed martial arts, kind of going back to the dream becoming more of a goal, So along the way, just started realizing that I really, really enjoyed it and was getting pretty good at it. And it was something that I never really minded working hard at, and I still don't. So, they had that saying, you pick something you love, you don't really work a day in your life. It's work, but it's very enjoyable. So I'm really glad I did.
You mentioned in the past that you were working a job, you went to a UFC event, you saw 2 lightweights fight, and it really inspired you. Do you remember who those 2 guys were?
I want to say Nick Lentz and maybe Eric Koch. I can't remember. But one of them was Nick Lentz, and it was just seeing, because when you get in person, on TV it always looks faster and more explosive, and you know how it is. And then you go to a live event, and the events are great live, but it just looked way more feasible. They didn't look as big or as crazy or as strong, and they just looked like me, So yeah, it was one of those things where we came up here, and that was my wife and I. We were in Charlotte at the UFC when Brunson fought Jacare, and went back and was like, all right, we're either gonna go all in or just kind of call it, because this half in, half out thing, it was kind of that point when I had 6, 7 fights. It was time to make a run. So we made a run, and now we're here doing this, which is pretty awesome.
So you made your pathway into the UFC by fighting on the Dana White Contender Series. Do you remember the call that you got when you were told that you were going to be able to fight on the Contender Series?
Yeah, it was kind of anticlimactic. It was my manager at the time was just saying, I need footage of your last fight. So I, not the most technologically savvy, so it took me a couple days and got it to him, and then I may have asked him why, or he said hurry, and he sent me a screenshot, and it was, Shelby had the list of, his clients, my manager at the time, and he asked for more footage of me specifically, so I sent it right over, and then it took a little while. We heard nothing, got the text, and then I remember just, being ecstatic for a very brief period of time, and then it was like, oh crap, we got to get ready for this. So, within a couple days of finding out, I was in Vegas for pre-production and, tons of interviews like this, and, meeting with the producers, the whole 9, and had never been out there ever. I just wanted to fight one time out there, and to be out there and see all that was really cool. And I remember thinking, I just hope I get to come back here. And now I think I fought out there about 9 times, or for between jiu-jitsu and MMA. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty life-changing.
And overall, what was that experience like? Obviously, you came up big, you got a big finish, you got the contract. What was it like?
Oh, it was life-changing. It legitimately changed my life. I had a 400 credit score walking into the cage that night, and really not any great future to go back to. I'm sure, you know, we would have been okay. But so yeah, it was just life changing to come out with a contract. And the really cool part was, for the couple minutes that your fight's on, the lead up and the kind of the follow through on your interviews and stuff, it really tells your story for a little bit. So it got to really, my wife played a huge part in it and backed me the whole way and sacrificed a lot. And they talked about her, they talked about us, they showed her crying, and it's really cool because if I never go on to fight for a world title, which I really want to, you had that moment in time where you got your little Rocky movie personal to show your kids for the rest of your life. So it was pretty cool experience. And also winning, getting to the UFC was amazing, but it was just cool to have our hard work recognized for the night.
You mentioned in the past that before that Fight Contender series, you asked your wife, what do we do if I lose this or when I lose this? Did you kind of use that, that sacrifice that any fighter has to make as motivation?
Oh, absolutely. I think more so walking out, of course, you're just zoned in. I remember seeing her and my brother was there and a couple other people. But yeah, in the lead up, the days you don't want to do stuff, you got to really think about your why and who you're doing this for and what you're doing that for. And even to this day, now we have the kids, so even more so, looking up last fight, my newborn was there. It didn't work out, but just seeing them, having them there, it's always a good reminder of, keep the main thing. And yeah, with that, I really think you can't lose. You still go home to them, so it's been awesome.
During your time in the UFC, you were able to take on some very tough guys, knock off some guys like Matt Wyman, Austin Hubbard, but Jim Miller's probably got to be on your list. Being from New Jersey, what was it like fighting a guy who's, he's a legend. Probably going to be a UFC Hall of Famer. To get a big win off of him, what was that like?
Yeah, it wasn't the most eventful fight. I think he even said in an interview recently, like, he had one fight he thought was kind of boring, and it was ours, and I was kind of kicking myself about that. Then I watched him beat up another guy, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take that boring win, and it was awesome. It was one of those things that's kind of, you don't know how you're going to handle it until you get that call. Because I not just came up watching during that era, but like one of my favorite all-time fighters. Him, Frankie Edgar, Damian Maia, and a couple others. So it was really cool. It was really freaky for a second. He's walking to the cage, but it's cool to share the cage with someone like that. It's also good going forward to see that obviously any of us can beat each other on any given night. Freak stuff can happen. You can get caught with a punch, get slammed, whatever it is. But when you feel that person that you've watched for 15 years, they just feel like another human being in there. So it was big in my growth and maturation, and still a big fan of him, still watch a lot of stuff, interviews and stuff, because anybody that can have that longevity, there's obviously a lot of wisdom there. So try to watch and always root for him and take a lot of knowledge from what he's willing to give out.
Another guy from the Northeast who made his way down south is Mr. Chris Weidman.
Yep.
Are you able to connect with him at all?
Yeah, he trains with us over at Gym O, in camp, out of camp, and another great guy to have in the gym. Just a super down-to-earth guy, very nice and very willing to share and, help us stuff. I was asking him, stuff yesterday about fighting 5 rounds and stuff, just curious. And he's just always willing to open up and be a good teammate. It's crazy. Sometimes you go to the regional shows and you meet some guys that, maybe they're peacocking or they're a little nervous or they're on edge, and everybody's kind of mean. You get to the higher level, and I'd say 99% of the guys are like the nicest guys, and Chris being one of them, just a real respectable guy. So it's been great to have him around for, myself and all the other younger guys to be around and learn from.
Your last time out in the UFC was UFC Austin, Jakar Close. Obviously didn't go the way that we wanted, but were there any takeaways or learning experiences from that contest?
Yeah, there has to be, right? So it's weird because you come back from a fight like that, and I'm the competitor, so I lost, I got beat. Then people want to say, there's half the people that say, oh, it's a crazy thing, don't even think about it. And I would get mad at that and be like, yeah, no, like I got beat. I ended up failing on the back take. I ended up on bottom. I went on all these things that happened to the slam, Then the opposite side, people come up, they go, I'm so sorry you got beat. I'm like, oh, it was kind of fluky, So it's a weird thing to process. But the lead up, there's always things, whether, we have to have the memory of a goldfish. My coach always says that because fighting's crazy. But even on the lead up, there's things in the process we can do better. There's ways to handle a loss. There's things I learned about myself. You don't know how you're going to handle, getting slept in front of, 20,000 people. It's not a fun thing, but the sun comes up the next day and you learn about yourself. So, now I'm on the road back. A couple of injuries coming out of just from landing on that shoulder and stuff. So, it's been very tough. It's been very rewarding. I always feel like, nobody works harder, nobody loves it more. And now, nobody rehabs hard. I'm rehabbing harder. I'm doing everything as much as I can possibly do. So, just thinking about how good it's going to feel to get back in there. And, a win will be amazing, but even more than that, just to get back in there and put my feet on that canvas again and get to do what I love. So it's been exciting. Nobody wants to lose. I don't like losing. I hate it more than anything, but I kind of feed off that. Coming off a loss, it's kind of a nice, almost like a purging, and you get to start all over again. So I'm excited for whatever's next.
You know, as a fan, I was really excited to see that at one time you were slated to fight Benoit Saint Denis. Fight got canceled. Obviously, now he's having a massive opportunity against a guy like Dustin Poirier, really gain some traction. You could maybe consider that a potential fight in the future if you're given the opportunity?
I mean, yeah, I'd have to do my job, you know. So I think it's something I could have been staring at if I won the Drakkar Klose fight. But it's crazy because in fighting, you're only one performance away from, you know, an insane flip, you know, one way or the other. So it's definitely, I was offered him once and I was hurt. Then we had the fight and he got hurt. So maybe third time's a charm. Maybe it's not meant to be. I don't know. But I'm excited to see what he does. It's very interesting, you know, especially with Poirier not wanting to fight up-and-comers, he kind of said, and not wanting to fight Dariush, and then, you know, seeing something in Benoit that he likes, that he wants to fight. So I'm super excited for it. And yeah, I want to be up there in those big fights. So I just got to do my job.
In addition to being a UFC fighter, you're also a promoter. Overall, how do you enjoy doing the promotion, your grappling promotion that you offer?
Oh, I really like it. You know, we were doing we have one coming up on March 9th up in, just outside of Charlotte in Belmont, North Carolina. So we were at the venue the other day doing like a little walkthrough and just kind of planning and stuff. And I actually had that thought. I was like, you know, I've only ever really liked martial arts, and I was like, I never thought I would like event plan, you know, but it's in martial arts. You know, I love fighting, I love grappling and all that. So, but it is something I really enjoy. I like trying to, you know, make a better show, make a better experience for the competitors, and, just grow this thing. I'd like to, you know, not to put it out there and, you know, look stupid if it doesn't happen, but try to get it on, you know, Flow Grappling or Fight Pass, something. Just keep giving, you know, because not everybody's going to be able to give up everything and pursue the UFC or have that, but you know, we have a lot of people that work 9 to 5s, do competitive jiu-jitsu and stuff, and I think it's cool to get them the experience of the walkout, training for one opponent, getting to have their friends and family, their kids come out and see them. So the bigger we can do it, the better it's going to be for them, for us, for the whole nine. So yeah, that'll be all in grappling on March 9th. I'm excited.
During your time in the UFC, you also had to have a very exciting grappling match against a very popular guy in Donald Cowboy Cerrone. You're able to pick up the win. What was it like to be able to get in there with a fan favorite like that? Yeah,
it was cool. You know, it had a lot of cool press and a lot of eyes whenever Cowboy does anything. He's going to ride that bull next week or whatever. But he's obviously, a fan favorite. So it was really cool. It was awesome. It was cool for me just because I get to do it back home. It was right over the bridge from where I'm from in New Jersey, in Philly. So we went and, had my lifelong coach, John Hassett, in my corner. My wife was there. My daughter was there. So it was a great experience all the way around. But anytime you get to share the mat with or the cage with anybody like him, Miller, these guys that you've been watching since, I'm a huge fan of the sport to this day. So that's just a gift. What a blessing. So it was really cool. And to get the win, even better. It was awesome.
All right, last question for you, Joe. Now 2024, what are the goals? What do you want to accomplish by the end of the year?
Yeah, just keep chipping away, man. I posted after the fight, get back to the process, which is what I love. So I've been training, really hard since the fight, rehabbing hard. I'm still sparring. I'm doing everything I need to do. So whenever they call, get back in there. But I'd like to be active. I want to get back in the win column, right some wrongs, and see where the end of the year takes us. I'd like to be, really staring down some of my dreams and goals by the end of the year.
That's Joe Solecki. I'm Carlo Prusa. Stick around.